Hello, everyone. This is Stuff. You are watching the Stuff HD podcast. Hi, I am Javier, aka Stuff. In front of me, we have
We have LX
LX
in the house.
The house. Which on the previous episode we decided the apartment is the house.
Yeah, because the house is a home.
The house is a home. You know, that's beautiful. That's beautiful stuff. HD. There it is.
Stuff HD. Ooh, we got graphics now.
Graphics. I'll tell
Well,
you
one
what,
graphic.
we got one graphic. I'll tell you what we don't have. We don't have this. We don't have that. So this, by the way, is the Samsung Galaxy S20
Ultra, right? Yeah, because the 108 megapixel.
Ultra.
So I went to Samsung.com just for like giggles and because I have a Note 10 Plus, and I was gonna say how much would they give me for the trade-in, and they would give me $700 for the trade-in, but I still ended up having to pay like $800 to $900 because I did choose the 512 gigabyte one.
Yeah.
So I'm like, because like the one option is 128 gigabytes, which is it's good, but you're like 512. I'll go with 512, but then there's no 256. Like it should have started at 256. But
I know they do that. I hate it.
Apple did that too. Like that was some bull. They're learning from Apple, Samsung.
We're not. This is not a podcast about the S20,
No.
but it was just announced yesterday. Was it?
Yeah, we were just curious about it. We're not gonna get it.
But it's something that I would love to get, but I'm probably not gonna. Like I had the S10, it was nice and all. I might get a S20 later when it's a lot cheaper. Samsung phones they go down in price big time.
Like the like the low end S20, like the little one. Okay. Yeah, you're more of an iPhone guy.
Yeah. I mean, I am. My iPhone is my main.
That's your main. And the Pixel's your side.
But my Pixel right now is my side. So I don't know. Maybe Pixel 4 will be on sale, and then I can get that instead.
Yeah.
That's. I don't know. Samsung phones are beautiful. They are really nice. But for some reason, they don't do anything for me. I don't know.
Yeah, like I'm really liking the Z Flip.
That one looks cool.
It looks cool, but I'm not gonna get it either because it's like still like 1,400.
They have that one on this website.
I think it's 1,399.
Z Flip.
It's way better than, in my opinion, than the Moto. What's it called?
The Moto Razr.
Moto Razr. Because this one kind of like I want a green one. Like I want the Z Flip. I want a green one, and I want it like to have like a turtle shell. Because like I remember watching the old Ninja Turtles cartoon. They had the communicators, and they would open it up. And they could like FaceTime Master Splinter or whatever. Like they had FaceTime at Ninja Turtles. So I want like a Ninja Turtle clamshell Samsung Z Flip. That's my my pitch to them.
This thing kind of reminds me of.
I like the colors though, like how they're like shiny. Cause I think it's like this theme. It's like mirror.
This is what it reminds me of.
Oh, like
SP.
Oh, you know somebody's gonna do a mod.
Yeah,
they're gonna put the buttons on there. See that okay? That kind of goes with the main topic.
The main topic of today, which is well, in this case, I had this, but basically, video game systems. See, we started with phones. Now we're going to video games. The main topic of today is video game systems that we wanted and we never got.
And that's the one I wanted. Now that you brought that up, the SP.
You wanted the SP?
SP.
You never had the SP?
I never had it. Victor had it. I think he had it, but I wanted the one that when you open it up, it kind of had the retro NES like design. That's the one I wanted. Yeah, that one.
That one.
That's the one I wanted. Because I went from Game Boy Color. Then what came after Game Boy Color? I never got the Advance.
Game Boy Advance.
I never got the SP.
Or the Mini.
Or the Mini.
Was it Mini?
Yeah, the Nano.
Nano. Game Boy Nano.
I always wanted that one too.
Let's check it out.
And I had a chance to buy one, and it slipped through my fingers. I never got it. So I just went from a Game Boy Color all the way to the Nintendo DS, the original DS, the gray, the silver space one. That's the first system I actually bought with my own money. The Nintendo DS original, the OG one.
There's a Game Boy Nano.
Yeah, that
$406.99. Who the hell?
Oh, that's what they're selling it for right now.
On eBay, apparently. I don't know.
And then I think the one you showed was like the red and gold color scheme. I wanted the one that looked like the NES controller. Also, they had one of those. But the screen was too small on that. Like now looking back at it, but at that time,
this is not official, right?
No, that's not. No.
I'm trying.
Oh yeah, but there was a Game Boy Pocket, but that's not it.
Yeah, that's not it.
I never had a Game Boy Pocket.
Oh well.
But yeah, I wish they did a retro.
Don't they make a retro everything?
No, but like an official Nintendo one.
Exactly. Does a Nintendo make an official Nintendo retro of everything?
Oh, if they did like
they did the
Game Boy Color Classic. That'd be cool. They did something like that.
I remember for the 3DS they had the NES or SNES looking 3DS. That was a cool one. I would have liked to get that.
The 3DS. Oh yeah.
Yeah. The SNES 3DS looking thing.
So I would like them to. Do you think Nintendo would do like a Game Boy Classic?
Game Boy Classic?
Kind of like the NES Classics.
I don't know.
Like put a Pokemon game in there. Put all the Game Boy Color Classic. Oh man, that would be so cool.
I don't know. I will tell you if their next classic is that, I'll be a little upset because I've been waiting
for the N64.
For the N64 Classic. I want that so bad. So
you think they really gonna do that? Like,
I don't know.
Man, I have a feeling that they're gonna stop at whatever they stop right now. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna go to N64 yet.
Not yet. I think they're gonna wait a few years because those games they're still good games, you know.
But do you think they're gonna? No, they're not. They're gonna keep it at the same.
Not that the SNES and NES aren't, but.
But do you think they're gonna keep it at the original N64 graphics, or are they gonna give that HD kind of paint over, like when you use like a Project 64?
No, I don't think they're gonna do that. I think it'll be just
as close to
the original as possible.
Maybe just like a little bit polished. I hope.
We'll see. I'm not sure.
Because when I played my N64, I don't know if it's because it's old or if that's how it really looked, but it looks pretty trash.
It looks trash, but yeah, I mean back then we were playing on CRT TVs.
Yeah, that's true.
That were like the big ones were like 27 inches and.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't even understand how because I see like 37-inch monitors now and they look small. And those TVs back then were huge.
It was mostly because of like they had the side mounted
like I remember
speakers.
We had like a 27-inch TV that was one of those furniture ones where it's like
a
whole cabinet thing.
We had a Zenith.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, like that thing was huge, heavy as hell. Like moving the TV was such a task. I remember one time
you had to like three-man.
This has nothing to do with gaming, but I remember this one time we helped somebody move. I remember it was like a 32 or 35-inch CRT TV. It took 4 of us to move that thing. And it was so heavy. Even with the 4 of us working on it, it was so damn heavy. I'm like, what the hell? And nowadays, it's like 27. It's like, oh, that's 2 like freaking monitors at work are 22-inch.
Yeah.
And you get 2 of them. Like,
I remember when I worked at Pizza Hut. I can go for some pizza. Yeah. But I used to work there, and all the drivers got sent to this like conference, and they did a raffle, and one of the prizes was a 32-inch one of those TVs. It was, but it was like the widescreen.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like the square ones. It was like the new widescreen with the speakers on the side and a DVD and VHS on the like all in one. Man, I wanted that so bad. Like I didn't win it, but like after the person who won it, they're like, okay, you have to take it to your car. I'm like, man, I'm glad I didn't got this. 'Cause it was so damn heavy. It needed like 6 people.
It's like, I need help. No, you won. Fair and square. You got this.
Yeah, so I always wanted those all-in-one
so
TVs.
Back to video game systems. Originally I was able to get some of these, but for sure, I always wanted the Sega CD.
Oh,
Back then it was cool to me. It was cool
Sega
being
CD.
able to see full motion video in games. It was freaking awesome for me. Now, eventually, I was able to get a Sega CD, but that's much later. So I don't count it as something that I was able to get when I wanted it. And I was able to play some of those games, and they were shit. But, it only took about 10 minutes for me to realize.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other one that I always remember was the Philips CDI. Because you ever see that one?
I've seen it just from the nerd videos, but I never knew that existed until like way later,
The Philips CDI, back in the day, I remember watching. They had these infomercials, and apparently they had a good budget because they were always playing. So in the mornings, mostly, I would sit down and watch these infomercials that were playing, and again, the whole idea of like it was a lot of those full motion video games, but back then to me that all seemed really cool because again it was a CD. So and I remember they had a Zelda game which was crap apparently.
Yeah.
And was it a Mario game or
They did have a Mario game, yeah.
Okay, so it was a Zelda and a Mario, and then it had a bunch of other games that looked really cool, and I wanted it so bad, but never got it.
Yeah, like I remember, like just having the Sega Genesis, right? When I had the Sega Genesis, after the Sega Genesis, I didn't get for a while, and what I used to do with my brother is we used to go to Blockbuster, and when they would let you rent the consoles.
Yeah.
That was probably the worst deal because to rent it was like $50. Like you're already a fourth there. You could just bought the system, but I remember renting the Sega Saturn, and playing the fighting X-Men, Children of the Atom,
Okay.
and playing like a bunch of racing games and we rented a couple games, and when I played that, I was like, man, this is so much better than the Sega Genesis. I want to play this game. And I always wanted the Sega Saturn for those games because I really enjoyed them. Good thing I didn't because that wasn't. I guess it failed.
It was a little bit short-lived.
And then when the Dreamcast came out, I wanted that one, but then like the price was like astronomical. It was like $400, $500. So it was like expensive.
See, I remember having a Dreamcast. I don't remember how I acquired the Dreamcast. Like, I don't know if I begged my parents or or how did I manage to do that. But I know I had a Dreamcast. But before that, I really wanted the 32S because that was and again I was such a Sega hater. Like I would hate on Sega all the time, but deep down, I was like, man, like that Sega CD looks cool. And then they had the 32S with 32-bit graphics, supposedly, which definitely was not 32-bit graphics, but On the commercials, it looked cool.
It looked cool.
So I wanted it. But
Double the bits.
I never got that back then either. Eventually, like I said, I did end up getting one, and then I hated using it because you had the huge brick for the Sega Genesis, plus another huge brick, power brick for the Sega CD, plus another huge brick for the Sega 32X.
It was just a gangbang of AC adapters, and
you always had to find some kind of extension cord.
Yeah, especially if you had the what are they called, surge protectors?
Yeah,
like you're taking up like 3 spots.
Yeah, you're taking like 3 spots with just one, and so in total you're like somehow trying to use like over 9 spots. And
that was always like worse when like the brick was so big that you couldn't even connect your TV to the same outlet. You're like, what's the point? Like, I only have this one outlet.
These were all huge, but yeah.
Like is it they did that? Did they not have the technology to put the box like?
I don't know. I think it was just lazy.
Or it was probably just cheaper to do it that way.
And it's weird because, the Sega CD, like the Sega Genesis, it had a port on the side, which is where the Sega CD attachment would connect to. So you would think, okay, they made this port on the Sega Genesis knowing that eventually they would want to be able to expand.
Yeah.
They never thought that they would like to be able to have power go to that device. Like, how do you miss that? The 32X I can almost forgive, simply because it connected to the cartridge.
Yeah, it's a cartridge. So
I could see how maybe there were no power lines going to the cartridge, but the adapter that you specifically made for expansions, come on.
Yeah, like you have that. You're putting it already in this big other device, so it's like you should just have a power thing under there. Yeah.
So yeah, the Sega CD, Sega 32X for me, the Philips CDI, Rio 3DO, was it, or was that? What was it?
It was not a 3DO. See, like all those consoles, like I really never knew about until like after the fact, like from all those like the Magnavoxes and all those things. Like I never knew about those. All I knew was Atari, Sega, and Nintendo at that time.
Here's the Panasonic 3DO. That's another one. I think this was very similar to the Philips CDI.
Yeah, it really looks like it.
But I honestly, I don't remember if it was the same thing or not. But
like if the discs were interchangeable?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't totally remember.
Yeah, I don't know. But I just remember being in, when I was in 5th grade, and I think that's when the PlayStation came out. And I was a big Sony PlayStation hater.
Oh, really?
Like I was so... I was like, because I had a Sega not by choice, because it was a gift. So I really wanted the Super Nintendo, but when you tell your parents I want a Nintendo, anything that plays video games is a Nintendo. So they got me the Sega Genesis, and I liked it. I'm not gonna complain that I liked that system, but I wanted the Super Nintendo. But so when the next generation came out, my mom asked, like, what do you want? Like either I don't know, at that time it was the Saturn or the N64, so I went N64, right?
You explain it very carefully that it's the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, I made sure with the Mario, yeah. And so I got the Nintendo 64. So when I got the Nintendo 64, I was like, all right, I'm back with Nintendo. I'm back home because I had the NES. So I was like, okay, Nintendo, here we go. So I was like a big Nintendo defender since then. So when Sony came out and all the kids were talking about PlayStation, I'm like, nah, Nintendo, they got them in the next system. Like, you can't mess with Nintendo. And I was so anti-Sony PlayStation. I didn't get the PlayStation 1 or the PlayStation 2. Like, I never got none of those systems.
Really? Now,
Like, I got a PlayStation 2
you-
just off of like a handy down because
were you
somebody messed.
also hating on PlayStation for using CDs?
Yeah.
I recall
Yeah.
me. I used to be all like, "Oh man, CDs are stupid. They take so long to load.
Yeah.
You don't need that much." But deep down, I was like, "Man, CDs are kind of cool."
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, they get scratched up, and I remember in middle school when the battle was heating up, we would have every year. So for 3 years, we had like a Christmas party,
yeah.
and I would bring in my Nintendo 64, and the other kids would bring in their PlayStations, and N64 was the party system, like hands down. Smash Brothers, GoldenEye. It was a bunch of 4-player games, and I was like,
Yeah.
look at you losers! You can only play Metal Gear Solid one player, only one player. And I'm like, but like I was watching Metal Gear, and I'm like, man, I want to play that game.
It looks so good.
Why can't it be for the Nintendo 64? But yeah, so I was anti-Sony, but
Eventually, they won you over.
yeah, I mean, I got a PlayStation 3, which I hardly ever played, but I
So-
played more than the other one. So
This, by the way, was the Philips CDI. Like I mentioned, this was the where is it? The Rio 3D or 3DO. So, but yeah, I don't remember if these were the same console or not.
no. But then-
Because it was weird for a while, because you would have, with those type of consoles, you will have a few different manufacturers making them. So there were a few different looks of the same thing.
The is the Jaguar in the same
I was,
as those, or
no, but I was gonna mention the Atari Jaguar, because that is another one that I always wanted,
like I remember?
because it was the first, supposedly the first 64-bit
Yeah,
system. And back then, it was all about the bits, man. Like, you wanted the
just because it was more. Like I didn't
yeah,
understand what
so
bits
there's
were.
it's like, oh, it's more. It's 64.
It's more better.
And again, the Jaguar was not really 64 bits. It had two
32.
32-bit chips. So I guess it was a dual core.
But I remember seeing the box at Record Head, and it was cool because it had like the Jaguar eyes on the box. I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool. But I don't even know, like, are there any good games in there? Probably just like Doom. Was there a Doom in there?
I don't really remember. There's the box.
There you go. Yeah, I remember the Jaguar eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a cool looking box. Really weird looking controller. I mean, look at that thing.
Yeah, I've never held a Jag. Did you have? No.
No, I actually never got one of those.
I think Benjamin had a Jaguar once.
But yeah, I never got to play it. I like I said, I don't even know what type of games it had.
Yeah.
I know that at some point they did make an expansion port. I mean, an expansion for it to do the Jaguar CD. Because, CD was
All the rage.
all the rage. And I actually kind of enjoyed what that looked like. So here's the the CD.
What's it called? Like Voltron.
Yeah, you would just plug it in on top, and they would make out. So, but yeah, I never got the Jaguar because it was always very expensive. It was like over $600, I think, or something like that.
It was always expensive.
So I never got the Jaguar. And even later, I never got the Jaguar. When I had a whole collection,
Yeah.
I always wanted to get one, and I never did. I don't know why. Jaguar Mini, maybe? No, I don't think.
No.
Again, I can't think of any games that I would actually want to play on that. So.
No. And then
No, go ahead.
did you get you had a GameCube, right?
I had a GameCube.
Yeah,
yes.
GameCube.
I've had just about every main Nintendo system.
Even the Virtual Boy, Virtual Boy.
I had the Virtual Boy. That was actually cool because and that was thanks to my friend Phil. Because Blockbuster again, they had that whole, was it Blockbuster in this case or Hollywood Video? I think it was Blockbuster still. They had the whole rental thing. But apparently the Virtual Boy was doing so bad that soon after it was released, one day Blockbuster was selling them for like $30, and my friend Phil told me about it. So I went to a Blockbuster, and indeed they still had some, and it was like $30. So I bought one, and I kept that thing forever until I decided to move to Puerto Rico and get rid of everything. But yeah, and it still worked. So
yeah, but it was one of those things where like I played it and it's cool for like the first.
Oh yeah, it's cool for 5 minutes.
5 minutes, and then you're like, oh man, I need to get this red out of my eyes.
I need to look at something else. I only ever loved one game in the Virtual Boy, and it was a Wario Land game.
Okay, I like the tennis one.
Tennis was cool too, but
there was too much action with the tennis one. The Wario Land one, yeah.
Yeah, Wario Land was a nice side scroller game.
There was only like 30 something games on that system or something like that.
And that was the only one that I really enjoyed. But it was cool, like you saw the spike balls going.
The balls, going to your face.
Going straight to your face with the spikes. But no, it was a cool little system. And the fact that I was able to get it for that little, it was cool. Yeah.
I wonder if did they ever make like how you have the what's it called, like the VR systems?
Yeah.
Like the Samsung ones, the Oculus. Yeah. I wonder if Nintendo ever like re-released those games for the Oculus.
I don't think they have, although they should. It will be.
Maybe this time in color.
Cool,
I don't know. I don't know. That'd be cool, but maybe they have and we just don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, part of me like wishes Nintendo would try that again, but with color now, because obviously we had the technology now. Even if it is like older style graphics, I don't know. Like I could see a lot of little games that would be good. They're normal cartoony type games.
They can just port over the 3D world, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like Yoshi's Woolly World. I haven't played it, but
that has a good
those
like
type
depth.
of graphics. Yeah, you could definitely do something like that and keep it in a virtual world type thing.
Yeah.
But then Sony would complain because they get the PlayStation VR. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, other systems that I wanted, or that you wanted.
No,
I never got.
Yeah, just pretty much those are it.
A decent gaming PC? No.
Like I have a decent one. I can play most games. I mean, honestly, nowadays it's either like, PC gaming is. Do you think that PC gaming is just the better way to go now, other than Nintendo games? If you want, because like Microsoft it doesn't have exclusives, right? Like whatever Microsoft is also on the PC.
They tend to also put them on PC.
So it's kind of like Microsoft is just PC gamings.
Honestly, right now, for me, it's PC, PlayStation, Nintendo.
In that order?
Because not necessarily in that order. For me personally, it would probably be more like PC, Nintendo, PlayStation. Because PlayStation, Nintendo obviously they have older franchises.
Yeah, their franchises.
And they're, they make great Nintendo games. Nintendo makes great Nintendo games. And they're gonna continue making great Nintendo games. But Sony, they make great Sony games. The God of Wars, the
Uncharted.
Tomb
Raiders not.
No, not Tomb Raider.
What's the other one?
what's it called? The one that
The zombie one. What was it called?
Last of Us.
Last of Us.
That type of games, the heavy rains, I love very
Oh yeah, I want to play that game.
Sean. No,
Sean.
very story driven games that
Yeah.
that I personally really enjoy. Those tend to be on PlayStation. I Tomb Raider is probably the closest I can find on PC to those type of games. But I don't usually find games like that where it's action adventure with a lot of story and great production value. So I think Sony makes really good games as well as Nintendo. That's why I keep my Switch and my PS4. But really, all my other gaming I try to do on the PC. Now, I did want to take a quick moment and you guys know me when I say quick. Talk about PC gaming for a little bit, since we're out of ideas of video game systems. I know there were many more that I wanted, like the Neo Geo, for example, but that one I wanted, but I always knew it was gonna be impossible, so I didn't even dream about it too much. But PC gaming. So the other day I uploaded a video about the GeForce.
Oh yeah. The
GeForce Now service, and how I was having issues because a lot of the games that I wanted to play, they were not supported. Like Fallout 4 is supposed to be a supported game, yet it's nowhere to be found. Any of the Tomb Raiders, nowhere to be found. So I like the service because I can play those games on a computer like this one, which, like I mentioned, doesn't weigh much, doesn't use much battery. So I can definitely game a very long time on something like that. And another thing that I wanted to mention on that video that I forgot, is the fact that this computer, for example, has a 128 gigabyte hard drive. You can't install many games on there. So the fact that I can go ahead and play, the idea that I can go ahead and play all my PC games with amazing graphics on here, it's great. But that service is having a lot of issues because publishers don't want to play nice with them. So on my video, one of the things that I was very excited about was the fact that you could play World of Warcraft on here. So for me, that is big because I love World of Warcraft. My World of Warcraft installation on my regular gaming computer, it's like over 100 gigabytes. There's no way I will be able to install all that on this thing. Not that I could run it on this thing anyway. So, by the way, when I say this thing, I mean my MacBook Air 2017. So the fact that I was able to play that game on here, and it played almost perfect. There were little moments where it struggled, but that happens on my regular gaming computer anyway because it's WoW. It has a lot to do with your internet connection and whatnot. But just this morning, I find out that Activision Blizzard have decided that they are no longer going to allow their games on GeForce Now. So I'm like, what the like, that's the one game that I thought it was going to be good. So then I was talking to Guillermo about this, and we're like, okay, and maybe this is something that I don't know. So, I'm not saying that this is happening, or it might be happening already, but I'm thinking maybe Activision Blizzard plan on having their own streaming service. Which is kind of annoying because now everybody wants to do their own streaming service and everybody wants you to buy the game again from them. Like Google has their own streaming service, but then if you want to play through Google's, then you have to pay for the game again, even though you already paid for the game because they count it as a whole different system. And I'm like, okay, like, what the hell does Activision or Blizzard care where I play? Because I can install World of Warcraft on any computer. It doesn't matter because I'm playing with my account that I'm paying $15 a month anyway. So I should be able to play it on whatever computer I damn well feel like it. Uh, so what does it matter if I'm playing on Nvidia's computer somewhere else? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, and this is the same issue I had with EA when they had EA Origins, where I couldn't play my Mass Effect. I'm a huge Mass Effect fan, and they didn't have it on Steam. And I was so mad. I'm like, because you had to get it on Origins, and I'm like, I don't want to get it through Origins.
Yeah, like I like the fact that I love Steam. Okay, like I get it.
You got your money when I bought it,
exactly.
No?
Like, but no, they want control. I don't know.
And I think eventually Origins had to fold because not a lot of people were going with that.
This whole thing is going to ruin the whole idea of streaming, game streaming, because
you can't split like too much. Like
exactly, it's just like TV shows. You know,
they get Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO, exactly. All these.
I always say, like, I used to download my TV shows that I wanted to watch, and watch them that way. Then Netflix came out with streaming, and they started adding a lot of TV shows, and then Hulu came out, and I was happy because most of the stuff that I wanted to watch, it was already on those two. So I was okay with that, but little by little they have kept removing stuff, and they keep putting them on other places. Like CBS has CBS All Access, so it's BS because stuff like Star Trek, they will have it for you to watch for free on Netflix if you're outside of the United States. But then if you're in the United States, you gotta pay for CBS All Access. So that you can watch it that way, which is crap. And then you have Disney coming up with their own, and freaking Apple has their own. And
don't even get me started on Apple. They suck.
Apple tried their own, and I have not seen anything good on there. I watched one episode of C.
No wonder they give it to you for free.
Yeah, like here, have it for free till we figure out what the hell we're doing.
Put our podcast on there. Come on, Apple, like, give us a cool meal for it.
But yeah, like now everybody wants to have their own subscription service, and at some point you're like, I can't keep paying for all this. It'll be easier once again to just go back to downloading.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to tell people to, I'm not trying to encourage piracy. But at the same time, it's like, you guys are making it difficult for me to tell people, like, don't pirate. Like, you can't afford to pay so much.
Yeah, even if it's like $5 a month, if it's $5 for like 6 different places, that's more money than $5.
And it's more than 5. 6 times 5 is totally more than 5.
It's like between 20 and 60.
And then for a while, I thought, oh, YouTube TV.
Oh man,
that's my solution. Okay, YouTube TV. It was great for a little while. It was great for a little while, but then they decided to add a whole bunch of channels that I didn't ask for, that I didn't want, that I didn't care about, and then they decided to raise my price just because they added the new channels that I didn't want, I didn't ask for, I didn't care about.
And it wasn't even like $5 more. It was like $15 more. Some ridiculous.
It was a big change.
I had to cancel that.
Yeah,
with the quickness.
Could I have kept paying it? Yeah, but
it was principle.
It's principle. Although I do like the fact that they find, because YouTube TV used to make it where if the TV show was available on demand, then you had to watch the on demand version. Where you couldn't skip commercials at all. They at least made it where if you recorded something, you can always
watch it recorded.
forward.
Yeah.
So at least they did that. but still, like I don't feel like I can trust them anymore.
Yeah.
And now it's like $50, and if you're a cord cutter, that it's saving $50 by sticking to just internet. But now you want your channels. Now you gotta pay $50 anyway. It's like why even bother?
You might as well get the whole package
Yeah,
from
exactly.
your.
And get more channels that way. Which I wouldn't be surprised if the cable companies are behind all of this, but yeah. So back to gaming. Streaming services. GeForce Now is the newest one. I think that what they are charging is fair, $5 a month. Come on. Yeah, you're playing the games that you already own, but they gotta pay for internet, they gotta pay for servers, they gotta pay for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So $5 a month. I don't know if that's just for now price and it'll go up later.
Yeah.
But if they don't have a good library, it's never gonna go up.
Yeah.
It's never gonna go anywhere. Google Stadia, probably a good idea. It has kind of failed. I don't know why. Google should have been able to handle this.
I think they got too cocky. They got too.
probably did.
They promised too much.
I like their idea of, because they have a controller that connects directly to the internet, so that you can bypass the signal going from the controller to the computer. That tiny millifraction of a second. They can bypass that and then go straight to the internet, and that helps the thing go faster. I don't know by how much, but it's a good idea. But again,
See what?
if they're forcing you to buy the games again,
Yeah.
it's like, no, like like I already paid for the game once. I don't want to pay for it again. And I know that I'm supposed to look at this as a separate service, but I mean, like a separate platform. They want you to look at it as kind of like, oh, if you buy it for the PS4, you're not gonna play it on the Xbox, so you're not gonna play it on the Stadia either. But I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense to me, because I'm sure it's running on a PC anyway. So the one that kind of makes sense to me a little bit, and I cannot talk about Xbox because I don't have an Xbox. I don't know exactly what they do, but PlayStation has the PlayStation Now, I think it's called. And I think they did lower the price to $10 a month. And that one actually allows you to play a bunch of PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4 games. And you don't have to buy them. It's part of the subscription. Of course, you're limited to the games that they put on there, but it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That they allow you to do that. Sadly for me, I didn't really find that many games that I cared about. But I do like the idea where it's, it's a lot of their own games, and I think this is the only way that it can actually work, the whole streaming thing, because they already own the rights. I would imagine they already own the rights to doing whatever with all of these games, so they shouldn't be having those issues. But then you're also missing a lot of games, because I don't know.
Now you're saying that. Do you think Nintendo is gonna do that?
Nintendo,
where they let you stream all the old games?
Well, Nintendo is kind of doing that in a different way. When you have the Nintendo's what do they call it? Their internet
online thing. I haven't really
on
looked
the
into
Switch, you are able to have basically a NES Mini and a SNES Mini, and every month they add some games.
Oh, okay, I didn't know about that.
You're able to play those games. So far, it's just NES and SNES. I don't know if eventually.
Oh yeah, because they did sell you that like special controllers.
Yeah, they
and I remember that.
So,
yeah,
so they're doing something similar.
See, I think with Google, I think what hurt Google the most is Google themselves, Like, how many times have you not been excited over a Google new thing?
Yeah, true.
And then you're like,
They're like me.
a month later, they're like,
they forget about what they were doing, and they go off to doing something else, and then they abandon.
and I think a lot of people kind of felt that way. And they're like, this is not gonna last. They're gonna cancel right away. That's how I felt. That's why I didn't try it, because I'm like, oh, it's Google. They're gonna quit right away.
Although to be fair to Google, they've had Google Voice forever, and they've never really done a whole bunch with it, but they've kept it alive.
Yeah.
So I'm happy because
somebody forgot that it exists.
Maybe. I use Google Voice a lot. I change phones a lot. Phone numbers too. Like I don't like dealing with the whole transferring my phone number thing unless it's very simple. So if it's gonna be difficult in any way, like if I had to remember a pin or something that I forget, I'm just like, forget it. Just cancel. Because what I give people is my Google Voice number, so that's gonna come to any phone anyway. So So anyway, we have rambled on far longer than I thought we would. Anything you feel like adding, sir?
No, I'm Gucci.
You're Gucci.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I wish you hadn't said that, but
I'm gravy.
All right. So this is the end of this episode. If you guys have any questions or comments, let us know. You can message me or follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Stuff Networks. And Mr. X here.
L.X on everything.
L.X on everything. Sounds like an order. All right. We're out of here. Yo, take care. Bye.
Doses. Oops.